Okay, the video on maintenance and a clean out of the Fluval 306 external filter. Okay, the first things first, make sure you've got your towel down. Take the power out, which stops any power going to the box. First thing you do, isolate the water flow. With that first lever, that shuts the water off. Second lever, red one, disconnects that from the box. Get rid of any dribbles. As you can see, water's isolated, job's a good one. And you've got the box. Box out. Spin this round so you can see power lead, quite a long power lead on these ones, so got enough room. Latches up, still full up at the moment. Now this just won't pull off from the box, it's very difficult. Good seal, which makes it very watertight. So I get a knife and just with the blunt side prise it on all the corners. You'll find this on almost all the Fluvals because their seals are really good. I'd rather this than the seal go dodgy and water all over your floor. When you see it's popped, off it comes. Drain any water out of there. And then what you want ready is a bucket of tank water in the bucket. Always tank water, don't listen. If anybody else says anything different, they're wrong. Tank water. So your first section in here is your sponges, first port of contact for the water coming in. As you can see, I've got a load of dead plants that the silver dollars seem to have annihilated. Plants are gone now. Took them out because they were just getting killed. So that into the box, and you've got your top to your 3-section boxes, so your lid, obviously where the water gets pumped in through the lid. First section on this is your bags. So in my case I've got Fluval Clear Max, gets rid of the nitrate, 2 bags of Clear Max, and then I've got, it comes with these very thin and flimsy foams which you have to replace every time you do a clean out on the filter. You have to replace the original one. So what I've done is just cut myself some very coarse, easy flowing foam into the shape of that and replace the original ones, because the original ones in my opinion are crap. The only bad thing about the filter really, I would say, is that. So 2 of them, empty cage. Next one you've got is your ceramics, nicely seeded. As this has been going for a fair few months now, this one. Nice ceramics in there. With these you don't really clean the ceramics. You just give them a bit of a swish around in the water in the bucket. And the last one you'll have is your foams at the other end of the system, so your last sort of foams. Okay, and that's it. That is your bucket empty, as you can see. Empty bucket. A few old K1 bits that I used to have in there. I used to have K1 in the ceramics as well, but there's no need for them anymore. So what you do is you empty this bucket out. So I'm just going to pour this water away. You can clean out inside the bucket. It's a bit gungy at the bottom, but I mean, to be honest with you, I don't always clean it. So it helps the biological by keeping that sort of nice and gungy. So just like I said with ceramics, I'm not going to do huge amounts with, but the foams. So So you basically put the filter back together in the other direction you took it apart. So back in first, what I tend to do are these two, minus the bits of crap. So they go back in. One, two. And that goes slots back in. Then you go to your ceramic. Ceramics in next. And then you've got your foams. I mean, I've done this recently. This is a guide. You would take more time doing it. You would have your foams in the cut position you've done. One. And two. Back in again. And then Clearmax bags. Clearmax lasts for, they say 3 months, I think. If you've got 2 in there with a heavy load, 3, 4 months, do a nitrate test and see when it starts to creep up. Those bags will actually make the nitrate go down. I have read my nitrate at basically 0. So, you know, water maintenance would be only for adding minerals back into the water again. Then you've got your sponges, so take all them off. They actually get held on via just a red plastic cage, pretty robust. Give that a squill out. Yep, there we go, the cage. Hold your sponges. Give your sponges a quick wash. Doesn't need to be perfect, I wouldn't have said. Just make sure there's no debris left in the sponges. You know, that for me is pretty good. And then you slot them back in. There's 4 of them, so you've got 2 either side. Let's go in there. That's one side, and you've got another side. This side doesn't seem to sit quite as well, but what you can do is cut yourself some new sponges out if you really want to make it a more of a perfect fit. To be honest, I find the ones they come with are pretty good anyway. Nothing really makes it through to the secondary set of sponges. Generally, the majority of it gets caught on the first section of sponges. Very good system. That one as well. And that goes back in there. And pretty much, you know, obviously depends how dirty your external filter is when you come to clean it. I done mine a week and a half ago. Like I said, I'm doing this just to sort of go through and show you. It only slots in, you know, it's curved to the way of the box. So that slots in, and then what you're left with is a pretty nice, you know, setup. Always a good idea. I mean, I've done it recently, but always a good idea to check your impeller, see what sort of condition it's in. A little bit of slime on there, nothing major. Check that, give it a good clean if you need to. I find if it's really cracked up, get yourself an old toothbrush or a new toothbrush, you know, something which isn't dirty, and give all that a good old scrub. And then you've also got, which is not the easiest to get out, I must say. I'll use a knife for this one. Tight. That's where your water flows in. Oh, lost me little rubber thing. Just there. This is like a little flap, basically, which will try and regulate the water coming in. It's a pretty good little system. as it flows in. Just grab, just to make sure this is nice and clean. This is your primer, so on top you've got your primer. So as you pull that up and down, you can actually prime the system, as you can see. Pretty good system with its piston. Helps to draw the water through. Once you've done it, I'll show you that in a second. Pop that back into position. It's nice and clean, don't need to worry about that. Give it a little tug to make sure it's in. Same with this one. Hook it, push. And what you'll find is you'll need to, there we go, manually flick that down. This I don't worry about, it's just a little bit of build up. You can say if you want to, you can get a bit anal and start cleaning away. Always check your rubber seal. Your fingers to make sure there's no nicks or anything wrong with it. Back together. And what I tend to do is give it a push down. Let these do their job and grab it as well, and then once it's in, just make sure it's all flush, and that is that serviced. Putting it back together, very simple. Ooh, scaring me fish. Back into position. And what you'll find is the opposite, so you put this back in, no need to force it down, no need to do anything. You see I've just literally placed it into position. The red catch will pull that down. That is now locked in, even though you don't think it is, it is. And as you can hear, it's pushing the air, it's actually self-bleeding to a degree. So what it'll do is this will fill itself back up again, almost to the top. This is probably the best external filter on the market for the size and price. I mean, you can pick these up for around 100 quid. They flow 1,150 litres an hour, which is a nice flow rate for a 4, maybe a 5 litre tank. My advice would be not to go for the bigger one, go for 2 of these, so you'd have 2 externals. And the 306 is probably the best of the lot for the amateur or the sort of medium enthusiast. There are the filters on the market which are really expensive, but personally speaking, I think the 306 is probably the best all-round filter for the money, for the performance. It's just a great filter at the end of the day. Now, you can hear the air has stopped pushing its way through. So then you get your plunger. Ooh. And what I do is just give it, I wouldn't have said that many. What's that, 6 or 8, something like that, maybe 10. Oh, I can't hear any air now. A little bit coming out of the tube. Be very careful with this. This is quite a fragile piece of kit. If you go from side to side and start going crazy with it, there is a potential to break that. So just, that's a little bit of a flimsy part. I've got to say Fluval have made, but apart from that, it's good. Plug yourself back in. You can hear the air. But after 5-10 minutes or so, that noise does disappear, and it is, I must say, a very quiet, silent running filter. And then if we look up here, I can show you the sort of flow it gives, which is pretty decent. You know, it's a nice general flow. And that is the Fluval 306 external filter maintenance. Thank you very much.